Join me every month for the inspiration to find your finish line. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Find Your Finish Line. We have a very special guest on today. I can't wait to talk to her. Before we do, Pillar Sports Nutrition Company, a micronutrition company, our presenting sponsor. And the easiest way to describe Pillar, hydration and carbohydrate products that will take you through to the finish line. Pillar's mission is to get athletes to the start line in the best condition over and over again. Since I was introduced to the product back at IRONMAN New Zealand in 2021, I've been taking Pillar Triple Magnesium, and it has been a game changer for me for my sleep, my recovery. I take it about 30 to 40 minutes before I go to bed each night, and I find I get a deeper sleep, less cramps, and recover better and for my next day's workout. Where Pillar differs from other micronutrition companies is if you've taken it before, it's a tangible, measurable, black and white results you can measure with your wearable devices. So, Pillar, you want to get it? Go to thefeed.com/Pillar and enter my code FINISHLINE, all caps, one word, for 15% off for first-time buyers. And plus, worldwide, you can get Pillar too. Go to pillarperformance.shop, enter the same code FINISHLINE for 15% discount on first-time purchases. So thank you very much, Pillar, for your presenting sponsorship. And now, our guest. She has been racing triathlons as a professional from Germany for over 10 years, but she just experienced the greatest victory of her career. She's a 5-time Ironman champion. She's won almost 20 70.3s. I love her motto, train smart, have fun, and kick ass. She just won the IRONMAN World Championship in Nice, France, going 8:45:15. Welcome to our Ironman World Champion, Laura Philipp. Hello, Laura.
Hello, Mike. Thanks so much for having me. That was an amazing introduction, and I still can't believe that I can call myself the Ironman World Champion now.
Well, you certainly deserve it. Before we get into that, I always ask my guests the same first question. What kind of workout did you get in today?
So I guess you probably hear that quite often from pro athletes when you have them on the show, because usually we record on our rest days. So today is an easy training day. And I assume that most pro athletes do kind of the same easy days. So I did a swim, just a little bit more than 4K. Like not just an aerobic swim. And later on, I will have a longer physio session, followed by a bit of some gym work. So not too much training today, but time to do some other stuff as well. And trying to give the body some important time to recover.
Well, your life got a little busier after the World Championship. Every time I've talked to champions, they go, "Oh my gosh," like this interview here, which thank you very much for being on. Other commitments with sponsors and going to see them. It's a little busy, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but it is also a lot of fun. And, I've talked to previous Ironman World Champions like Patrick and Sebi, and, they kind of prepared me for what will come afterwards. And, both of them said, you really have to make sure to enjoy it, because maybe it's a once in a lifetime experience. And, to get all the attention also from the media as a triathlete is really something special. In Germany, we have soccer that is so big, and coming from like a smaller sport, you don't often get so much attention. So I really appreciate it. Also, like I had so much feedback coming from the community and just people watching the live stream. And it was also streamed in German television. And obviously also that is, quite a big thing for a triathlete. And, like this, you also reach, different people, who haven't been part of triathlon before. And, the amount of people who reached out to me and congratulated me, and who's like people telling me, they had tears in their eyes when they saw me getting so emotional crossing the finish line. Like, this is, I think, really special about this victory and achievement, that I'm able to share it with so many people. And I also guess this is a once in a lifetime experience, that so many people are happy with me and my victory, for getting my victory. So I feel actually really blessed to experience all of this.
Well, Germany has always been such a fantastic triathlon territory with great races like Ironman Frankfurt and Roth and others. And I've been jealous because when I went to Frankfurt years back, I go, oh my gosh, I think the Germans love triathlon more than the Americans do. They're so into it, and you're just heroes out there. And you did have a tremendous race. So Laura, your strategy going into the race, did that change at all while you were racing? Did you all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that because that's what I need to do to try to win this thing?
So, of course, you always try to prepare as best as you can, and also trying to create some scenarios in your mind that how the race could maybe play out, and how I then could trying to react to the race dynamics. And with my coach and also partner, Philipp, we definitely try to really look into the course specifications and also into my own performance numbers. And we were trying to create kind of the perfect race plan. But, with plans, you always need to be flexible, and they might need to be changed in this situation. So I'm always preparing myself for like the best scenario, and also the worst scenario. Yeah. And then I think as a professional athlete, you really need to be able to be super aware of what's going on, and then also change your strategy depending on race dynamics. So I had like a number one plan that I was hoping that will play out. And to be honest, looking back, I think it worked pretty perfectly well. But I also had so many race experience in the past, where I had to be strong, mentally adapt, like when I got the penalty on the bike in Kona, like there are so many things that can set you back in a race. But yeah, honestly, now looking back on the race in Nice, I think most of it went pretty good. And I really felt like I have like a momentum on my side, and especially for the bike, where I think, maybe it was the most important part of the race because of the course and also the duration of the bike. My strategy went really well.
Yeah, I would say it did. By the way, I love that crown that your dad made for you.
That was so sweet.
What was it? What was it made of? It almost looked like a Kona Hawaiian crown.
No, I think. Do you know what the Kona crown is made of?
Yeah.
Do you know what plant?
The exact plant, I do not. Hawaiian flowers, I do not.
So mine was made. I have to look up the word in English. I think it's laurel.
Laurel?
Yeah, have you heard of that?
Yes, I have. Yes.
So, and this is something that they have in France, and it's also a plant that we have in Europe. So, and I think back, the Romans, they used it for like the kings and celebrations and so on. And even in my name, Laura, when you look at the roots of that name, it's from laurel. So I think he maybe thought this is a good plant to make the crown of. Yeah, to be honest, I think it would have been amazing to maybe get gifted like a flower crown or something, like with a special plant from the French area, because if you look at the Kona pictures or even the ones from St. George, where the champions got handed that crown, you create pictures and images that simply look different than to a normal Ironman race.
Right.
And it's just like this extra special adaptability that comes along with getting a crown at the Ironman World Championship. So yeah, maybe he saw that I was a little bit sad, so he made me that crown. So yeah, that was really a sweet and a nice moment.
Well, you never know. Maybe next year in Nice they'll give the men the crown, and it'll finally be a crown that is exemplified of the local area of France. That's a good point. Laura, did you, with your plan and everything, did you think you had a sub 2:45 marathon in you, or was it, getting off the bike with Kat Matthews and you two running together for a while? Did that set up the fast run?
So I told you before we recorded the show that I listened to your preview chat
I
with
know.
Didi about the race. And you also talked about what it will take, what time it will take, to take the win. And you didn't talk about me as a favorite for the run. And in a way, it surprises me because when you look at my results, I already ran, I think, 3 marathons sub 2:45 before this race. And those races were always like I had solo rides on the bike where I had to work all on my own. And so I knew I am able of running those times. I actually even believe that I could maybe even run faster. It always depends so much on how hard the bike was. And also, of course, of race dynamics. But for the Nice course especially, I didn't know if that would be possible. I mean, with like all the fast runners being in the race, I knew this would probably be kind of the time that you have to run to be competitive for the podium. And also my preparation, I tried to prepare for, a marathon sub 2:45, maybe even 2:40 is something that I'm dreaming of. And I knew I'm capable of that because I've already done it in the past, but obviously not at a world championship race and with like world championship competition. And especially with the longer bike and the harder bike, I didn't know, how the legs will feel. So that was a big surprise at the end to myself as well, because I only found out when I crossed the finish line, like while I'm running, especially with the battle with Kat in the beginning, I didn't really care about splits or times. When you're in the battle for the win, it's not
Right.
about running a fast time. It's about like racing smart and trying to make sure you're ticking all the boxes that will take you to the finish line in one piece.
Well, you did get to the finish line in one piece. And I tell you, when you talked about finishing, and I'm watching it online with everybody else and saw the emotion, I almost started tearing up. And that's one thing when I was at those finish lines, when champions would come in and they'd get real emotional. I always had to talk to myself. Now, Mike, don't get emotional. You got a job to do. But with you, it was a sweet, sweet victory. Laura, the week before, or a few days before, when Lucy Charles Barclay dropped out of the race, and everybody was saying, wow, this is really going to change the dynamic of the race. Did you believe that?
So, I met Lucy at the pre-race press conference on Friday, so 2 days out of the race, and she seemed to be very confident about her start. And I think then it was just one day before
Yeah.
the race that she decided that she won't race. So that was definitely a big surprise and obviously also a big loss for the race. I think when she made the decision to race Nice during the year, I was so happy to hear this because you want the best to be in the mix and you want to beat them, on your best day. And I think especially for her as an athlete, taking on that challenge of the Nice course with like more technical bike course and so on, I think it was so cool that she committed to racing there. So that was definitely so sad to hear. But to be honest, for my race strategy, it didn't really make such a big difference. Obviously she would have been out of the water probably first. And then, I would have to chase her. But then I think for my own race strategy, it didn't change anything not having her in the race. Maybe it would have taken a bit longer to eventually catch her. Obviously, that would have been my plan. I wanted to catch everyone on the bike to then, kind of start the run together. But overall, I'm just really sad that she didn't have the chance to race.
And when you were on the bike, when you were riding, did you? How long was it before you found out that your countryman Annie Haug was out of the race, former Ironman champion?
Another really unfortunate, moment. So I came out of the water with Anne. That was what I was aware of. And then I thought, okay, the first 10K, they're pretty flat. So if I want to put Anna under pressure, I need to ride really hard in those flatter sections. So actually, I think I started before Anne out of transition, and then I just tried to really put the hammer down on the flat part. And so I never looked back. So I think at kilometer 40, 50, so pretty long into the race, I got the information that Anne has I don't know if she then already had decided. Yeah, probably she was she was out. And then I didn't know what happened. It took quite a while until that information really, came through. But obviously really unfortunate. And, another big competitor that wasn't in the race anymore. Obviously my strategy would have been to trying to distance her on the bike. But then also I feel like, I was in a really good run shape as well. And, the cool thing about the Nice course, in my opinion, is that it kind of levels the playground is a bit more even, because everyone has to spend pretty much the same amount of energy on the bike course because you have all the long climbs. So there's no real group dynamic where you can maybe save a bit of energy when you're part of a group, because we all had to spend pretty much the same amount of energy on those climbs. And this definitely creates kind of a more even situation for the run from your energy levels. And this was something I was looking forward to, having run battles with the best when everyone had to spend energy on those climbs.
Well, there's always so many, Laura. There's always so many variables in an Ironman. It's a long race. It's a long day, and as a lot of people say, stuff can happen. How were you able to control all those variables that came your way and keep your strategy during the race? Or did you have to adjust it a little bit?
Well, I think, you can only control what you can control, but a lot of the things you can control are also part of how you prepare for an Ironman. And this is for your training, your body, that you get to the start line healthy, fit, and happy. But then it's also about what material you decide to ride and run and swim. And a big part of my preparation in general goes into choosing the right equipment, testing my equipment. I have amazing partners on my side, and also my husband, Philipp, and he's also my coach. So we obviously live together, spend a lot of time, really trying to, adjust, make every, for example, for the Nice race, we had a big bike project going on. We wanted to make my bike lighter and then also my position faster. Every screw we, swapped to lighter versions like Titan screws. And at the end, we were able to get 1.4 kilograms out of my bike setup, the previous one. So obviously that makes a big difference, but then also choosing the right tires that are safe, but also fast. And, there are so many things that we try to pay attention to. So I think that was a big part of the preparation. And then, as you just said, there's also the part that you have to be, able to react and adapt during the race. So the first surprise in the morning, honestly, was that it was changed into a wetsuit swim. I didn't bring my wetsuit because I was so sure that it's a non-wetsuit swim.
Really?
I
You
brought
didn't?
a lot of Vaseline, like cream, with me because I was afraid of the cold. The mornings, they were quite chilly. And I also knew that, we were riding up a big hill, and most of the bike course is at 1,200 meters elevation. So that is pretty high. And the temperature up there was pretty low. So that was the first surprise, but obviously I'm not like the most experienced swimmer. So changing it to a wetsuit swim was probably one thing that went into my favor, but I didn't prepare for this. So we had to go find my wetsuit. Small things like this. But I also lost my rear bottle cage, for example. And, you're not like, I wanted to check if my bottle is still there because the bike course was so bumpy. So, it was pretty likely that you might lose something. And when I wanted to check if my bottle is still there, I all of a sudden had like the whole cage in my hand. And I was like, oh, damn, there's like the littering rule and you can't just throw it away. So I knew and then there's also the new rule that you're not allowed to put anything in the front of your suit anymore. So I didn't really know what to do with it. And I was riding like one-handed with the rear bottle cage in my hand, for maybe 10K. And I was really lucky that then there was an aid station where I was able to throw it away because it was just before one of the longer descents. And for those descents, you really want to have two hands on your bar or the brakes,
Yeah.
So those are small moments, and there were quite a few of them, to be honest. Also in the beginning of the run, it was so hectic that I lost my sunglasses and also my cooling headband. And so that was why I was running without sunglasses for like the whole marathon. And in the beginning, when I realized that I lost it, I was like, oh, damn, now like everyone can just look into my soul, there's nothing you can hide your eyes with. And also cat supporters, they see exactly how I'm feeling and so on. But in the end, I think because people were able to see so closely how I was feeling, they really felt with me. So yeah, but I think, I don't remember one race that went like 100% smoothly. But it's how you decide to deal with it in the moment. And I think luckily there weren't like big setbacks for me. It was really like a lot of positives adding up where I felt like, oh yeah, this is actually pretty good. Now I'm in the lead of the world championships. This is where I want to be, and so on and so on. So overall, I think, I was like really, really blessed with like a really kind of perfect day.
Well, you were blessed, but I'll tell you what, you did control the uncontrollables because I know myself, I can't imagine being on a tri bike and you're holding a cage going, what the hell am I going to do with this thing? I don't want to get a penalty. So riding with it for 10K and then the sunglasses, I just can't even go outside without them. I couldn't imagine.
The funny thing was I was thinking, because we had like the age groupers coming onto the run laps. We were running laps. So I was actually thinking when I was overtaking some of the other women, I was thinking like, can I ask them if they will give me their sunglass or something?
Somebody would have loved to do that. They would.
I chatted with some of them afterwards and they said, oh yeah, I would have definitely given you my sunglasses. But in that moment, I felt a bit embarrassed. So I just kept on running.
So Laura, you're coached by your partner, your husband, Philip. Do you, and I've been married 48 years and, not everything goes perfectly. Do you ever disagree with him on your training and stuff? Like, I don't want to do that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, of course. I think, having discussions and also matching, what my ideas are, what his ideas are, is definitely a big part of our success. I think, you have to disagree at some point and then discuss things to make each other better. And obviously he was my first ever coach. So he started training me like now around 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And I only know his way of coaching, but also having been like his first athlete he ever coached, we can definitely look back on a few things that we did wrong, that didn't work out. But overall, over the years, I think because we work so closely and we are so honest with each other, we were able to really elevate each other and also make fast progress. I have no background in swim, bike, run. So sometimes I really have to pinch myself and also him. And we really, need to sit back and be proud of ourselves, how far we have come in such a small amount of time. And I think, one key factor is that we are so honest with each other and we are not afraid of making errors or very open for change. Because I never experienced like a different way. So I'm always happy for new input and ways to get better. And because I never experienced like something else that worked so well. So I need to stick to it. So, I think at the end, the positives outweigh maybe the negatives a bit, because obviously it is super intense to be trained by your partner. And I mean, you know it yourself, like triathlon is not just a sport, it's a lifestyle. So it is very time consuming, but to share it with your partner, I think is, a true gift because we can spend so much time together. Sometimes, of course, you also, need to maybe separate yourself a little bit. And I'm telling him like, okay, today I need like just time for myself. And it's the same for him. But overall, to have him at my side and, he's able to look into my eyes every morning and like he actually sees how I'm feeling. And then we can adapt to my training according to how I slept and how I feel and so on. I think, that's pretty cool and special.
Well, Laura, you didn't really learn how to swim till you're like 24, 25 years old. And well, you're 36 now or 37. And that's not a whole lot of time. I mean, do you wish you had started triathlon like earlier in your life? So many, you hear about them. Oh, they did their first triathlon when they were 8 years old. They grew up in the sport. Their mom and dad did it. But you came in at new. I mean, do you wish you had started earlier?
Yeah, 100%. But this is what I say now, if you talk to my parents, they would tell you, that I was never really interested in like just getting into one sport. And they weren't into one sport themselves. So I think there was just like, I tried a few things, but there were never anything competitive about it. And I think especially the swim part, of course, would have been pretty cool to have more experience as a kid. And if I compare myself now to my competitors, most of them are actually doing triathlon since 20 years, some of them. And, obviously this is probably disadvantage. And I also know that, or I'm aware of that I will probably never, reach a Lucy Child swim level. But, at the end, the good thing is it's still triathlon and you have to combine 3 sports. And, I mean, I'm still not the best swimmer, but I'm also not the worst. And, I enjoy the process of getting better. In the beginning, I struggled so massively with the swim because I just tried swimming for myself. I didn't had any advice. I didn't went to get any swim. I didn't had any swim lessons, and it was actually just when I then met Philipp. He was the first one who, just looked at my technique. I didn't really have a technique. And, showed me some videos of me swimming. And looking back, I'm just really proud that I took on that new challenge of, facing something that felt super uncomfortable. And I'm, enjoying to make progress, even though the progress is small. Swimming, I think is a tough sport. You sometimes have to be happy if you swim 1 second faster over 100 meter and you had to work months for it, But I think finding enjoyment in the process is super important. And even though I'm already 37 now, I still think there's a lot to come for me because I got into the whole sport so late, you know. So usually you say you need like 10 years of practice to get good at something. And, you know, I'm there now. So it kind of makes sense that, you know, my best years are probably now, but there's still some more to come. You know, I see so many mistakes that I'm still doing and that I'm trying to figure out. And that's the cool thing, you know, at the end, swimming for me definitely is the toughest to make progress, and to really figure out the technique and the feeling for the water and how to get faster. But at the end, it's also the beauty.
Yeah, exactly. We're speaking with Laura Philipp, currently crowned Ironman World Champion in Nice, France, 2024. And Laura, during the race, when you broke away from Kat and you're running on your own, I've talked to so many champions that are out there in front and they have this nervous feeling like, oh my gosh, I got to keep this pace. They could catch me. And there's others back there, Chelsea Sodaro and others that could have a great run. Did you have that nervous feeling? And if you did, when did it go away and you go, okay, I think I got this?
So I kind of tried to make a move on Kat pretty early in the marathon because it was quite windy out there and she was like constantly playing with me, you know, hiding behind me. She didn't want to run next to me or in the front and just trying to play mind games with me. And I felt like this is taking energy out of me. You know, I just want to focus on the run. And then I tried to make a move and it worked. You know, I had like a little gap. And of course, this helps you to, you know, starting to believe like, oh, okay, seems also to be hard for her. And when I was running in the front, I enjoyed it, to be honest. Like I felt comfortable there because this was the position and the moment I was dreaming of and also working towards too, you know. And when I was having a small gap so early in the marathon, this gave me confidence because it was showing to me that, you know, Kat also had to work pretty hard to run that pace. And the gap to Chelsea was pretty big as well. And I feel like I have a good feeling for my body. Like I can do like these screens or during the run, like how am I feeling? Like, okay, I feel under control. And I think if you have this feeling, then this calms you down a little bit. And I was just trying to really focus to not make any mistakes. I knew that, you know, the increase of pace was also a risk for my own marathon because it was so early and mostly, you know, it will get tough on the second half of the marathon. But I really enjoyed to run the 4-lap run course. That was special. Not only because we had so many great spectators out there, but also because it was a bit easier to see your competition. Mm-hmm. And I mean, in Kona, you know, you're really dependent on what your supporters, maybe the splits they give you, because you only have the turnaround point and energy lap. So this was, I think, definitely an advantage to see the gap growing. And I definitely tried to stay on the gas because I was never sure that I will maybe I think you probably heard this before from others, that because of the history of Ironman and all the previous races that I've watched where athletes, you know, who were in the lead for so long, all of a sudden got a cramp or only were able to crawl to the finish line, you know. I'm so aware of the toughness of this race and also of the toughness of my competitors that it was only on the last K when I was already seeing the finish line and I was feeling well enough to know that I will make it there without a cramp or any major issue, that I was realizing, oh my God, I'm about to do this. But then looking back on the race footage, you know, when I saw how Kat was going, like with her cramping and so on, this looked so bad, you know, like I'm so sorry for her. But seeing then like how the way how she finished shows how tough she was, or how tough she is. So I think it was definitely the right decision from my mind to not allow myself to believe in the victory too early, because the competition is so tough, and just one weakness of myself would allow others to close the gap. And I think you can never really be like secure of your victory until you cross that finish line.
That is absolutely true. Over the years, I've seen a few seen a few people less than a couple K away and have the cramps and things like that over the years. So it's not a victory until you cross that finish line. And Laura, when you did cross that finish line, I'm sure it's hard to put into words. What was the first thought that came into your mind? You're hearing the crowd. Joanne Murphy's calling you an Ironman World Champion, and what came to your mind? You crossed that line, all those people are around, the cameras are on you. Were you overwhelmed, or were you just so relieved it was over?
No, it was definitely so overwhelmed. I remember a few key moments, like when I started, when the crowd was really like, there were more crowds towards the finish line, and like one person handed me the German flag, and, like having eye contact with like one of my key supporters and also sponsors, and seeing them having tears in their eyes. Like those were some really key special moments towards the finish line. And, just also like this overwhelming emotion that just started to come like out, like from my stomach to my brain. I don't know how to explain it. Like, feeling that I'm really like starting to cry, because I'm so over the moon and so happy, and also relieved that, all the hard work that you put in did finally pay off. I think most athletes, we all put in the work, but there's only one athlete that can take the win. And to be one of them is just like the biggest gift that I can probably make all the people that invested in me, supported me on my way. Because even though I'm the one crossing that line and getting all the attention, it's such a big teamwork, and I'm so thankful to everyone who believed in me, maybe even before I started to believe that I can do it. And obviously crossing the line, it was relief, but I was also so happy. It was just like pure happiness. And I was also so thankful that I was still able to stand and enjoy. I even went back on the finish shoot to thank the people. I did a run back and forth to high five everyone there, because it's just so cool to celebrate with all the people there. And I was very thankful to my body that I was still able to do it.
Yeah. Well, Laura, you're a very, very gracious champion. So I'm on social media like everybody is. I'm going, okay, Laura's in her recovery mode. You wonder how long, because I know you're doing the T100 races coming up, and all of a sudden I see a post and you're on the track like 12 days later doing a speed workout. I'm going, what the heck? And then you were surprised at how well you did and the speed that you had. So was that in the plan, like 12 days, I'm going to go on the track, or did you guys just decide, okay, we better get back to work?
Well, we knew, if I wanted to do the last two remaining 200 races, obviously they are at a different speed than Ironman racing. Mm-hmm. And the whole NIS preparation was all about getting my body super efficient at the Ironman pace. So, I of course did a lot of speed work as well, because I think, especially in my age and with my background, like no endurance sport background or anything, it's super important for me to do a lot of speed work, to, still have a good VO2 max. Those are the things that are, dropping when you get older, and it's so much harder to do fast stuff. So Philipp really makes sure that I'm still doing a lot of those things, and we are not doing super long sessions, even in the build up to an Ironman. But I think one of our key things is that we are doing a lot of short intensity. And this session, I think, was never planned to happen 12 days post Ironman. But I think because I have such a close relationship with Philipp, we did a lot of talking, how my recovery was going, and it wasn't going ideal because I didn't do any recovery sessions after the race. I did a lot of talking, a lot of media, and a lot of partying. So I didn't really feel very well recovered until maybe 10 days after the race. And he said, okay, I think it's important to show your body a bit of speed. We go to the track, and he didn't want to tell me the session before. And I was actually a bit angry with him because I always want to know what I will face in the session. But he said, I would just want to see you running and see how your technique is. And then we make the decision what the set will be. So I think he first had in mind to let me run 5 times 400 and then 5 times 200. So just a short session. But knowing that I need to speed up again, it was good just to show your body, this is how speed works. And then while I was doing the first reps, he was happy with the way I was running, short ground contact time. And, my whole system looked reactive and stable from the hips and so on. Those are things, he's looking at, and then he's deciding on how much impact my body is able to, absorb on that day. And, my times, they were a lot faster than I expected, and I was feeling so good. And I was joking with him oh yeah, Ironman training makes me fast. And then the cool thing was then he decided, okay, I think we can actually do a proper session today. So you will run 10 times 400, and then we do some 200s. And I'm always asking him to give me more training because I just simply love to train. And he's the one telling me, we need to train smart, just like you said in the introduction, train smart, only train as much as you can actually recover. And then if you recover maybe better than we expected, then I can let you train more. But then we have to see how your body reacts on that, and so on and so on. So I think this is kind of his philosophy. And then he surprised me with, today you can actually do more. And I was happy about it. I had a really good track workout. And obviously that really helped me now to, be excited about another race to come. Obviously it's super different to Ironman. And I also know, with so many athletes focusing purely on T100 or middle distance racing, I'm definitely not a favorite for this race. But having done the previous ones this season, I think they were actually really important in my lead up towards my Nice performance. Because if you race the best on different distances and at different courses, this teaches you so much, and you have to get out of your comfort zone, especially for me, facing strong swimmers in all those races. I think that really helped me. San Francisco was one of the key moments, I had to overcome really fear, jumping off that ferry, doing this swim. And I think those are super important steps as an athlete that will make you stronger. And I'm so thankful that I was, brave enough to sign up for the series, even though that I'm aware that I'm not a favorite for the win, this is also how I'm hoping that I can attack the last 2 remaining ones, because I believe they will help me to be a better athlete next year. So, yeah.
Well, it's good that your coach is your partner, because I know a lot of athletes, if the coach would all of a sudden at the beginning or middle of the session, oh, by the way, let's do 8 more of these 400s, you're having an argument. What do you mean 8 more? But it's you love training. So that's a fantastic thing that you love training, because you guys you're on the same page. So Laura, tell us about your passion, your strong belief in sport, femininity, health. Where did that come from out of your life?
Yeah, I think the start is probably in my youth, how I was growing up with my parents, showing me how to live a healthy lifestyle. They always showed me the beauty of cooking your own meals, healthy meals, and just enjoying to get out into the nature. Even though if it wasn't for like sport, we spend a lot of time outdoors, maybe climbing trees and playing in the forest and so on. I then developed. Found like a passion for rock climbing when I was younger. So that took me to the mountains, and I spent a lot of time, climbing rocks, and that I think showed me, the beauty of sport in nature, but also, how cool it is to work towards goals. I think I've always enjoyed being outdoors. And I then found a passion for mountain biking as well. And I think it was just like slow progression into endurance sports as well. I had to, bike to school, to be honest. I think this is definitely an underlooked part of how I got into the sport, that I started to bike to school. I think it was around age 16, and that was 60K per day from Monday to
Wow.
Friday.
Wow.
And I did this because the public transport took forever, because we were living on the countryside. And I was faster riding my bike. And I think looking back, I, with that, built quite a good endurance base, where back then I never knew that it would come handy, when I decided that I want to try a triathlon. I think one of my key driving forces is the pure enjoyment on activity, like movement, and being able to kind of explore the world and my surroundings, while I'm out on a bike or while running.
And you're a vegetarian almost your entire life. Was that from mom and dad too?
No, they offered me meat and fish, but they actually told me that already at the age of 3, I started to refuse it. I didn't really like meat. And then when I was getting older, um, I realized, how animals die in the process of
Hmm.
becoming meat. And I just got more and more reasons why I didn't really want to eat meat. And I feel super healthy and happy about that decision. And especially looking at, mass animal production and so on. This is just simply nothing I want to support. And I don't really feel like I'm missing out of something. I think
Hmm.
today you have so many opportunities to replace meat, or if you feel like you're missing some micronutrients, you can supplement them. And I simply love animals, and I want to have them alive and not on my plate. I'm also a physiotherapist, so I'm also very passionate about, like the function of the body and anatomy, physiology. And I think this also plays a big role in, my kind of approach onto life, but also my way of training and racing as an athlete. I really want to work with my body and not against it. And being a female athlete, this also means that I pay a lot of attention to my menstrual cycle. I'm trying to really work with my body, with my cycle, and having, I think I started doing this 2019, so a few years ago. And since I started syncing my training with my cycle, I think I was even able to elevate my performance level, because I feel like, I'm really working with my body now. Previously, before that, I had moments, that felt really, where I felt off. Now I know it was because of my hormonal levels not being primed for like a super performance. But I always tried to push through and had meltdowns because it didn't work and so on. So I think just, gaining experience over the years, getting to know my body better, really helped me to have kind of a holistic approach on my training and how my body functions. And I think this also helped me to stay injury free for a long time now. And those are just, I think, key factors to performance at the end.
Well,
or also on having a long career.
Exactly. And your formula is working very well for you. There's no doubt about that. Laura, tell us about Kick-Ass Sports Coaching. What's that all about? I love the names you have at Kick-Ass. So
Yeah, well, it actually started being like a little mantra for myself, that I was starting to write kick ass on my bike frame, just as like a powerful word that helps me to keep pushing and believing that I can do this. And then I think it was during the Corona pandemic where all of a sudden, we didn't have any races anymore, and we didn't know if this will go on for like 5 years, or nobody knew what will happen. And Philipp and I, we were, at home, and we didn't really had much to do. So we, were, discussing like how could we create a new way of making our living, and also maybe also starting to shape the future after your career. And obviously we are both super passionate about the sport and also about coaching. Like, he obviously studied sports science. He's like, he has like the really founded knowledge, but I also have a big passion for working with people, maybe also coming from my physiotherapist background, where I just really enjoy to, help people to figure out their problems and help them to move in a better way, in a more efficient way, like working on technique. And with this, helping your body to absorb shocks from running and like the training, and just stay healthy, because at the end, it's like the consistency and being healthy that is fun, but also, like the way to go. Then we founded this company, and we thought, why not call it Kick-Ass Sports, and trying to pass on our knowledge to age group athletes that, want to get into the sport, or want to be really good at the sport, or want to combine their work life, with competing for triathlons. But it's not only for triathletes, it's also for runners, for bikers, because we think like a lot of the fundamentals are the same, no matter what sport you actually want to do in a race. For example, you need to have like a really good athletic foundation. So we pay a lot of attention of advising people in exercises that will help them, strengthen their core, and in helping them developing their overall athleticism, because this is definitely the foundation for endurance or a healthy endurance sport at the end.
Well, I have a feeling. I think I know what your path will be kind of after you are done competing in triathlon. And the admirable part about it, Laura, is you're giving back to our sport. I mean, there's people like, my gosh, McKeely Jones, Mark Allen, Marinda Carfrey, it's still giving back to the sport, which I absolutely love, because that's one of the biggest ways our sport will grow and people will become healthier. But talking about health, I got to hit you with this. Okay, you're in love with cake. You say you have a piece of cake every day. What kind of cake? Is it different or what?
It's different. Today it was, I had 2 pieces. So I'm still treating myself well. So today I had cheesecake, which is definitely one of my favorites.
Ooh, yeah.
And then apple cake, because right now it's apple season. So you get apple cake pretty much everywhere. And, this is also like one of my favorites, like a pure apple cake. You can have, a bit of cream with it, or vanilla ice cream that also goes quite well with it. And yeah, I think this passion also comes from maybe my mother. She also loves to bake. And, growing up, I also always helped her to bake cakes and obviously also enjoyed to eat them. And I think it's just something that fits very well with endurance sport. It's a nice treat. It's something for the soul. And I think also something super important, it's not like I don't want to forbid myself eating sweets or
Right.
anything. I think like I always say like, I try to eat 80% healthy and I try to make sure I get all the micro and micronutrients that my body needs to function and to be healthy. And then there's this 20% that allows you to maybe also eat stuff that makes no sense from like a nutritional perspective, even though like cake makes a lot of sense. You need like sugar and carbs, for your workouts and just to hit like your energy needs. But it's so important to be happy. We only live once. And even though if I'm obviously probably living like a super competitive in a competitive moment of my life, like where everything is about performance, I think it's a important factor to my performance that I allow myself a few things that maybe some people are shocked that an elite athlete is doing something like this. But I think it helps me to stay happy and then therefore healthy and be consistent, because I think it's so easy, to say, oh yeah, I'm not eating sweets for 6 weeks. But then, at the end, everything you think about is those sweets for the 6 weeks. And I think then when people start to do stuff like this, of course you can forbid yourself something, but then it will bounce back to you because you're only thinking of this stuff. So for myself, I just think, if I allow myself a few things here and there, it helps me to stay in balanced. And life is also about enjoyment, right?
Well, I tell you, Laura, I got a feeling that there's going to be a lot of triathlete kitchens after they hear this podcast, baking up cakes all over the world. No, wait a minute.
Well, I hope so. It's highly relaxing to bake a cake. Have you ever baked a cake?
Yes.
Have you?
Yes. It is relaxing. Baking anything is relaxing. The best part about it is walking into the kitchen to the smell. I mean, or walking into the house and you go, oh my gosh, I'm
Someone
happy.
is making a cake for me.
Laura, what advice would you give women who wanted to get started in triathlon? What advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, I think it's one of the coolest sports for women. I'm really hoping that many women will watch us race and get inspired by that and are not afraid to take on that challenge. And I think especially with the women only racing that we are starting to have, I think this will also help women to get into the sport, because I talk to so many beginners, and they are sometimes afraid to race alongside with men because sometimes you feel a lot of testosterone and it's just a different vibe. And I think my advice would be, to find yourself some training partners, maybe join a club and just do it with a lot of fun. The sport should be fun for anyone who is doing it as their hobby. And looking back on my own way into the sport, I definitely wish I would have had some advice earlier. So like maybe joining a group, taking on like some some coaching lessons as well. I think this will definitely help you to also enjoy it more. Because when you just do stuff on your own, you can get lost in, doing the same stuff all the time, or also doing a lot of repetitions with bad technique, and this will make, progress a lot, slow down your progress. And I think this is also fun, if you start something new and then it's motivating to see progression. And especially for the run, this is also a key element of Kicker sports coaching, that we are not only telling athletes sessions that they can do, or helping them like build up towards a goal, but we pay so much attention on technique development. Like we are having, like we call them educations, where people can sign on and they get one-to-one coaching lessons, where we actually look at the way how someone swims, bike and runs. And especially for the run, it's so common, you have like these run skill drills and so on. But often it's different exercise that some people need. And everyone we worked with, they were so happy about the feedback they got, the input they got. And I think this helps so much to then enjoy the sport more. And I guess the advice is to find someone who can help you get into the sport in a good way. And then I wouldn't take it too seriously in the beginning as well. If you're not having the goal of becoming a professional athlete, it should mostly be about supporting your health and like your physical and mental health. And therefore, doing it in a fun way, I think, is my number one tip.
And there are so many, as you know, triathlon clubs throughout the world and every community, and the tri clubs are very welcoming for new people coming on in, and that social aspect of it is very cool too, because you can train with everybody else. Laura, just a couple more questions. We're done. What activities do you do in the off season? You get done with the 2 T100 races, and then you got your off season. What do? You gravel bike, you mountain bike, you ski?
Yeah. So this year, obviously, off season will be pretty late. So Philipp and I, we were discussing when we could have like a little real holiday. And this will probably be in December. So by then, we have a chance that there might be some snow already in the mountains. And he loves snow and skiing. I also enjoy it, but not as much as he does. But this time, I think he is the one who can pick the destination where we are going. So I guess we will end up somewhere probably in the Swiss mountains. And as we both love sport, my off season, I'm not doing any structured training, but I will for sure enjoy to do some ski mountaineering with Philipp. This is something we enjoy to do together. And mountain biking is something we enjoy to do together as well. So I'm just really looking forward to spend some time with him, and also our dog Nino. He also loves the Swiss mountains. And it will just be some little bit of fun activity, but also making sure, to really relax and recover mind and body. Eat a lot of good food and read some books and just enjoy a bit of off time.
Good for you, Laura. And after the 2 T100 races, it is a longer season for you. So you make sure you enjoy that time off. And I'm going to close with this because I didn't get to do it live, but I'm going to do it now. Laura Philipp from Germany, you are an Ironman World Champion.
Thank you so much. This
welcome.
Means a lot to me. I love to hear it, and I will make sure I will save this sound piece. That was a pity that you weren't there. Yeah,
I know. You can't last forever, but I'm still with you in spirit, that's for sure. And do you have a prediction on the men's race in Kona?
Well, in my preparation for Nice, I rewatched the men's race, and watching Sam, conquering the course. I always had him in my mind, and just following him over the season. I think he's definitely one of the big favorites for the win in Kona as well. But I'm also super excited to see how Christian and Gustav, so the Norwegian boys, especially Gustav, he hasn't raced too much this season. And obviously, I think it's always special if you come back to a place where you had a really good race like he did. So I think even if he might not be in the shape like Christian, he can still have like a really, really good race just because this place is so special for him. And then also Patrick, never count Patrick out, he won this race 2 times. And I think it will all depend on how the race will play out. And also, if we will have some stronger winds on the bike or not. But I think, the win will probably be decided between Sam, Patrick, Magnus, and the Norwegians.
Yeah, as you know, it's Kona. You just never know what is going to be thrown at you.
Exactly.
Laura, Philip, thank you very much for being on my podcast, and say hello to Philip for me if you would. And it's been a pleasure. Enjoy the 2 T100 races in your time off, and it was an honor to be able to see you win that race. You take care.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you. You too.
And thank you, everyone, for checking into another edition of Find Your Finish Line. Remember, you're the cause of your own experience. If you keep those experiences positive in your life, you will always find your finish line. Aloha, everyone.